In a small, bustling city in the Midwest, a man named Marcus Taylor stepped out of his modest car, looking around the police precinct he would soon call his workplace. Marcus was a tall, confident man in his early 40s, with a calm demeanor and a commanding presence. He had worked his way up the ranks through grit and determination, overcoming countless hurdles along the way. Today was a significant day, his first as the newly appointed chief of police. Marcus wasn't dressed in his uniform. He wore a plain hoodie and jeans, an intentional choice to see how the precinct operated without anyone knowing his identity. With his warm brown eyes and steady voice, Marcus had a vision for change. He believed in justice, fairness, and accountability, values he planned to bring to the department. But today, he would face an unexpected test. As Marcus walked into the precinct, he noticed two officers at the entrance, leaning against their patrol car. Their names were Officer Brad Connors and Officer Doug Mitchell, two senior officers with a reputation for being overly aggressive, especially toward minorities. Marcus approached with a friendly nod. "Morning," he said. Brad looked Marcus up and down, his expression cold. "What are you doing here?" he asked curtly. Marcus smiled politely. "Just passing through. Thought I'd check things out." Brad exchanged a look with Doug, who sneered. "This ain't a tourist spot. Move along." Marcus, still calm, replied, "Actually, I have some business here." Brad's eyes narrowed. "Business, huh? What kind of business?" Before Marcus could answer, Brad's tone turned sharper. "You got ID on you?" Marcus reached into his pocket and handed over his wallet. Brad opened it, pulled out the cash inside, about $200, and smirked. "Looks like you're carrying a lot of cash. Where'd you get this, huh? Drug money?" Doug chuckled, adding, "Yeah, maybe we should hold on to this until you can explain yourself." Marcus took a deep breath. "That's my money, and I'd appreciate it if you returned it." Brad stepped closer, his voice dripping with mockery. "Oh, you'd appreciate it? Well, guess what? You don't make the rules here." Marcus stood firm, his expression unchanging. "I'm asking you one last time to give it back." Doug scoffed. "Or what? You gonna call the cops?" Both officers laughed, clearly enjoying their display of power. Marcus decided it wasn't the right time to reveal who he was. He turned and walked away, leaving the officers smirking behind him. Inside the precinct, Marcus made his way to the captain's office. Captain Laura Jenkins, a sharp, no-nonsense leader, greeted him warmly. She had been one of the few in the department who supported Marcus's appointment. "Chief Taylor," she said, extending her hand. "Welcome." Marcus smiled and shook her hand. "Thank you, Captain. I've already had an interesting encounter outside." Laura frowned. "What happened?" Marcus recounted the incident with Brad and Doug. Laura's expression turned serious. "Those two have been a problem for years. They think they're untouchable." Marcus nodded. "Let's see how untouchable they feel in about 5 minutes." Laura escorted Marcus to the briefing room, where the officers were gathered for the morning roll call. Brad and Doug were among them, laughing and joking as if nothing had happened. When Marcus walked in, they didn't recognize him. "Attention!" Laura called out, and the room fell silent. "This," she announced, "is our new chief of police, Marcus Taylor." The color drained from Brad and Doug's faces. Marcus stepped forward, his voice steady but firm. "Good morning. Before we begin, I'd like to address something." He turned to Brad and Doug. "Officers Connors and Mitchell, please step forward." The room was tense as the two officers hesitated, then reluctantly obeyed. Marcus pulled out his wallet, which he had retrieved from Laura's office. He held it up. "This," he said, "is my wallet. And this money," he continued, pulling out the cash, "is mine. Now would either of you like to explain why you felt entitled to take it?" Brad stammered. "We thought you were—" Marcus cut him off. "A criminal? Because of the color of my skin?" Doug tried to interject. "It was a misunderstanding." "No," Marcus said firmly. "It was a violation of everything this department stands for." As the room watched in stunned silence, Marcus shared his story. He spoke about his years of service, the challenges he had faced as a black man in law enforcement, and his commitment to making the department a place where everyone, regardless of their background, could feel safe and respected. "I didn't come here to fire people," he said, looking directly at Brad and Doug. "But I will not tolerate racism or abuse of power. You both will face disciplinary action, and you'll need to earn back the trust of this department and the community." Brad and Doug lowered their heads, the weight of their actions finally sinking in. Over the next few months, Marcus worked tirelessly to rebuild the department's reputation. He implemented new training programs, established community outreach initiatives, and held every officer accountable for their actions. Brad and Doug, after undergoing mandatory training and community service, began to understand the impact of their behavior. One day, Brad approached Marcus after a community event. "Chief," he said hesitantly, "I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything." Marcus looked at him, his expression softening. "Apologies are a start, Brad, but real change comes through actions. Keep doing the work." As Marcus drove home that evening, he reflected on the journey ahead. Change wouldn't happen overnight, but with patience, determination, and a commitment to justice, he knew it was possible. And in that moment, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The city had a long way to go, but under Marcus's leadership, it was on the right path. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.